Two drums here. We have the male drum and the female drum. The male drum has a lower pitch, and the female drum has a higher pitch or a higher tone. And with these two tones, the drummer imitates speeches from individuals, and the ancestors created these sounds to communicate among themselves. So, if I want to say Kofi, Kofi has 2 syllables, and you must play male-female. It will give you the sound equal to Kofi, Kofi. So the drummer communicates with the king. If the people are seated and the drummer wants to communicate with the king and tell him that the people are seated, so he must come out. The drummer will tell the king, Ohene. Ohene is the king. Ohene Bra, or my lord, come out. My lord, it's time to appear in front of your guests or your people. So you will hear me play it over and over. Ohene Bra. Obrempong Bra. Great one. It's time to come out. Obrempong Bra. Sometimes they will say, your seat is in place. Yes, Yehua. Your seat is in place. Yes, Yehua. So you don't have to worry. By all means, you will find a place to sit, or this special seat is ready for you. Ohene, yes, Yehua. Great one, your seat is ready. Obrempong, yes, Yehua. So, with this, the drummer communicates with the king. Sometimes he knows the king is not ready to come out. So he will play some things, some kind of traditional poetry on the drums. For example, about a path that crosses a river, that goes alongside the river, and at the point you see the path crossing the river. At some point you will cross it. And it's some kind of great poetry, and during the course of it they ask which came first. Is it the river or the path? But we all know that the river came first. So he is ready and he is coming. A king must not fall in front of his people. So the drummer will ask him to walk majestically. He must take his time. Obrempong na tik break. Sometimes the drummer will play something about the background or the ancestry of some of these kings.
Nananom, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, it's my honor and privilege to welcome you to the Dinuzulu Center for African Culture and Research in the name from Mojawe. We have a very important, very enlightening, and very enjoyable program for you tonight. As is tradition, we'll open the program with the pouring of libation to be done by Ochame Okufo from Ghana.
Nana Kimati Dinizulu and Abelbonga Asia, the Wetia room. It is a great privilege to be part of this program and this point of history. Our ancestors, through lightning and thunder and earth tremors and the waves of the seas, and through the magic of nights and days, realized that really there is a supreme being. So in all their activities, they don't forget Almighty. And it is the name of the Almighty which is called first, before all others, like our ancestors. We have this august personality in the form of Berima Kwame Nkrumah. I won't be able to say much about him, but when you read the flyers just out there, if you don't have one, you must try to get one and read about him. That he represents the past, the present, and the future. Sons and daughters of Africa in general, and Ghana in particular, passed through his domain before they were shipped out to the diaspora. So, Nana Kwame Nkrumah is here, and as a servant of Nanano, I would like to say this traditional prayer, this libation pouring, to ask God Almighty and thank Him for giving us life, and ask Nanano for prosperity, unity, and long life. We have Christos Attucks and Benjamin Banneker and Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman and all these forefathers who really paved the way for continuity. It mustn't come to a standstill. We must really carry on with the torch so that we will make our marks for posterity. Oh, Nyango Bongiamo, Okubetia, Yepetu Moko, Wadawo, Asasi and Zenu, Asasi and Punyam and Zen, Asasi also were willing to be known and then Zenu. And you come from Nina, from Mwakam, Mapa, Namoko, Nanso, Niamobeya Mayamo, Yemi Feeder, and it's a big year near from Mwakam. Your friend, I will play the Tamfuni and Mother Cam, or you could say Jamman Zenu, Amacha Man Zen, or say to Tubra Woman Zenu, Mwakam. I'm a young one, cheerful money be too for a fear and send me for years and Timambo, put to Gida Logunia, or Pafra Ram for a come, Mujins and Nominate Yaka, Wana na nti onu nzani o mo ke enwe oti a re ble ko nzo ameko akosa no nzo ase ni abra no nzo mo na mo fim konso na dia ba mo na mo wetu mpam mi no mo de ba akosa yi na mo de ba akosa de mo ke enwe na mo nyina na eche gira ba ebia na atwe abra dia mo aka de ni ada o je ehia ma nzani o na na ebi o giran edu me enu no abrewa musunu Ochiame a champion tenten mo ke enwe na mo nyina na eche gira ba ekwo na funso ekwo na funsa se suru ni Ghana nka mo no man ya mo dia ekwo na no chiwa no nzani o mo dire na eche gira ba aguna funzani o aguna fu e mo fi de ngira na bo ekuru o de ngira pente premem so mo je nzanwe na mo nyina na eche gira ba yefra se jifu ade asejira do ma ko nzani o ko se champu ma mo so ko re si ama mo nzama go de mo nzani mo nyina na eche gira ba yefra ba ka kan ya fro mu na bema kwa minji ya asrafo ene wo no enjoy osuni na wonga na ko nga se be asa pa de bia na mo nye fe kura mo yi che ko se dia wa gbaraza osuni bia na ti ko nye fe kura na mo bi enya dia na ni nti asrafo mo abege nsa no mo gye enge gye ba no nyankopon kwa ade nyere wi so nyankopon mi onipa de no nyankopon ti se ye onipa otongade wo keje tia okodu fia ne do fa wa dire onipa otongade o magola opon eduma no ko fia wa bre se o kirekira fo kirade fia no pa ko sia ne do fa obedu fie no wa bre na me ni a obo nieme nyira na onyankopon bo adi nyire wi na debi adeto onyankopon so ukutwa no hia friend onyankopon ntuma nfere na abura o friend pa de no ye tum ono ko fu onyankopon o ka je mo eni nyire se sabi to bizu onyankopon se redeem no de friend njono ko jira no fu onyankopon se kwa imprensa onyankopon wa so atrazi na sasa mkazi mo amoto grofu na amaka bi a kire won ye ka grofu onyankopon de mira bo baba de na o share ne na agrofu ifi ago kire kura de amman su pa ko ka enyamesem de wo hwe asofo no hwe baba de bi su pa matade nti asrafu ayi de wo wiasia na na kuntum grungu da na mo ya asrafu mpanyin nzeni o mo nyina ga eche ejina ba abrewa do gua mo nzeni mo nyina ga eche ejina ba aguna nana ya oduru mu nyina adi kamfo mo nyina ga eche ejina ba na senkesi ya etimi mo bi se de enne memre wo queens abontenso wo berema ya okare de Zulu ahimfi na berema kwaminchi wa transi wa botrasi ya wodambe ngura aminti na mefrem ma ntifu ni wa na asamanfo to sansa ko guwa ode na echi jawa koma na ya okare onibo na ya okare nzeni o na ya okare nzeni na no okare bia nzeni o mojinza mwe na munyire ngeche nyamba la tempeni ni nyina nzeni o mrewezi ya nyina nzeni na munyire ngeche nyamba na meka la tepe neni eburi peni ya ma munyire ngeche nyamba na mama na no okare bia bai ko na ya okare ni Zulu na ya okare ni ko na kimati esi na newo na ni amonye ya osobe Lord ya shemani onyam amintina Dr. Henry Clark ye otia amintina na bo kwa adima otia ani peni ya berema ko si adima no mo ka mo wosi mmoje nsan na mo nyere ngeke nyina ba na nkuya woto won fi Ghana ani abibiri nyina Africa wo ba sa si fi ani wo fra berema kwa me nchi asase ekọ no wonam no do won bai nti oyese omu we ntia won a wo fa wo no kupe nyina na na kwa me nchi no de wo no wasi wo Ghana na banzrakwe eni nti ne ehia wa he men Ghana tente If you make a tinting pen, a bear to send your thing as more tinting, one pointing, so we shall come on tinting, one go down, think the bears and tinting. The metal theatre to make him, no one engaged in Yaba. So, Jana Truth, Munyan, we give you away. Marcus Gavin, we give you away. William Edward Bergat Dubois, Mumagins away. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Nzenio, Munyan begins and when you engage in Yaba. Not yen young person in the area. If you say, Obibinia come, ya come what Assazia, will be what any say, Papa, there be you, Papa, there be Anton to my car, you will that. Yes, I will free dress. No, Papa, there be Anton to car. The youngest will be a movie that. Within Tuntum of a car, Papa, there be one go bruni, never been yet. No, only do and you food. Asazia and there, you near the bay. The end I was so. Verma Baminki, I sing up many Paparia. Nana Mintam, Brianna, Nano Manuo was a product of Qua, Brody Kumekuma, Boisi, Munya, Nana, Agobenji, Ebusiafu, Munya, Munquasu, Nana Baminki, Oninje, Oninje Wadi, Oninje Wadi. Yen I was you, Nana Baminki was you. We are asking for long life and prosperity. Those on the way coming, we want them to get here safely. And those of us here, when we finish our programs and we are going back, we must get back safely. Yenina in Kwasu, Yenina in Kwasu, Obia Oba, no fear or report. Then Kwasu no good as a beam. Miata no Mofre, one in the Munyan, one I prepared in Munyan. Sebi as a one brand to me to Mekusha Pambrade, the tomato Mequini, na Sebi, say, what will be to go down to me to Mekupa, and as a pack. Yet I was you.
Famous Akufu family from Ghana. His uncle was appointed Ochami, or linguist or spokesperson, by the late Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah back so many years ago. And I believe his grandfather had 128 children. And your father was the fourth, and the original Ochami Akufu was the 70th child. And he is carrying on that tradition. And what he did by pouring libation was acknowledge, of course, Chidiyakon Kwame, Almighty God, Asasiya, Mother Earth, the different forces in nature, the Abosun, and of course the ancestors. He is a master. We don't know why they let you out of Ghana. And we really thank you for the beautiful libation and welcoming our distinguished guests tonight, especially Brema Kwame-Nchi, the 12th, Mr. Obadika Sonny Carson, Sister Camille Yarborough, Ms. Clark, Nana Shifria, and Nana Kwesi Ajamin and Nana Kwesi Ajamin, who are both sitting together. Medasi P. Tonight is a very historic event, and there's so many things to mention today about our distinguished guest. But before we bring him up, we're going to ask our elders who have assembled and come here this evening to welcome him here to Africa and America. Back in 1998, there were some remains of an enslaved African that were found in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And there is a gentleman by the name of Sonny Carson who sits down at the end of the table who, through DNA, it was discovered these bones, actually, the remains were descendants of the Carson family. And what he did was really extremely historic. He was able to put pressure on the Navy to actually regain control of his remains. And I don't know, but I guess you could shed light on that. There was a period of time, in fact, I was in Brooklyn one evening, walking down in downtown Brooklyn, and there was Sonny Carson at a rally with a casket. And I asked someone what was going on. They said, well, that's his ancestor. And about, I guess, a year or two later, I never would have thought I would have been on an airplane on Ghana Airways. CIA, many other people trying to put a stop to it. Remember that day? Remember that day? There were so many people who were supposed to go on that trip, and we were told the plane was full. But when we got up in the air, we videoed 14 empty seats. Remember that? Now those bones were brought back to Ghana, and for the first time in history, they had what was called an Emancipation Day ceremony, which actually was 4 days. And there was also a very powerful sister from Jamaica, West Indies, called Miriam Phillips, who also brought a delegation from Jamaica, West Indies, along with the remains of the enslaved Africans from the Seville plantation by the name of Crystal back to Ghana also. We left from JFK together. And Ghana came to a standstill for 4 days. It was really historic because for the first time in the history of the continent of Africa, they were receiving back those spirits of our ancestors that were stolen over 400 years ago. It's a large history, but at the end of the 4 days, the two remains were reinterred and buried in a very special part of Ghana, which is located in the Asin. It's in the central region, and their people are called the Asin. And Gurema Kwame Nkrumah XII is the paramount king of one of the 3 divisions of the Asin people. He's a big man, but what he did and his elders did and his people did was so important for Africans in the diaspora, because what they did was they said, bring them home and we will take care of them. And it was a fantastic thing that you did. It will be mentioned forever, what you and your elders and all of your people have done to keep alive the spirit of our ancestors who suffered so much. And this is also this is also the beginning of the spiritual side of what's going to go on with the battle of reparations. Okay. Now, we're going to ask Abubadika Sonny Carson, direct family member of Samuel Carson, to come and address his people and bring a welcome and greetings to Gurema Kwame Nkrumah XII and his entourage.
Anyway, I'm supposed to carry on the story that we had begun the return of the people who it is written that will return when the bird of the Nkrumah. I don't know how it goes, but I hope someone will talk about that because the return has begun. The return of our people to her original land has begun with the return that we begun with the reinterment of our ancestors in that land that day and that week. And let me just say this to you, that I'm not one of those people who is really a soft person who can be moved so easily that I'm moved to tears. I mean, to cry. But if they had caught me that day that we reinterred my ancestor in this brother's land, I would have caught Abubadika Sonny Carson crying. And they would have gotten in trouble if I had caught them with that picture, because it was real. I had never thought that I would attend a funeral the size of the funeral I attended that day. And can you imagine? All these people came out to a funeral of a person they didn't even know. And there were thousands of people out there. I mean, thousands, and half of them were crying. And I said, you know, there's a big difference in the people here than the people in Harlem and Bed-Stuy, because they're ready to kill each other. But all these people out here were crying, and on the way out to the land to reinter, people were coming out from the villages, waving and crying and welcoming us back. And I said, wait a minute. I'm ready to go home and really fight now, because I've been deprived of all of this. I mean, this is not really, I mean, even while I was sitting here right now and the brother was doing the whole thing in his own language, I was ready to fight. Because I didn't understand anything he was saying. And I should understand what he's saying. And the young people here should have the right to know what he was saying. And here I am sitting there looking like them and I can't even understand it. George Bush, look out. Because I'll be angrier tomorrow than I was yesterday. Again. Because each time that I am to witness that, then I am angrier yet. But let me say this to you though. That whole thing began with the discovery in southern Manhattan of bones under the building that they were just beginning to start building in lower Manhattan that eventually became the African burial ground. I don't know if you all remember of that occasion, but when we heard about bones just being uncovered while they were building the office building there, we decided to make sure that that building didn't continue its development. And we went over one day and stopped it physically from continuing. And then took our bones and held them for 14 days until we were convinced by some of our colleagues that it was time to start discussing with the United States government folks its further continuity, whatever that was supposed to be. But from what they were beginning to talk about was that the bones were going to be part of some research product that eventually saw the bones wind up in Howard University, being done research on. And when they started talking like that, I didn't want anything to do with anything like that, so I said, no, I stepped back because I didn't understand why our bones had to have research done on them. So we stepped back, and from that moment on, and we're just discovering $21 million was spent in the research, or the fraud. $21 million was just discovered in the last few days is missing right now. But anyway, when we stepped back, a few weeks later, we heard that there was some bones, or there was another cemetery that had just been discovered over in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And we went to a meeting one evening, and we walked into the meeting. There were so many people in white naval uniforms there at this meeting that we just knew it was something important about to happen. And then when they started talking about this cemetery, they said, wait a minute, what's going on? So as we began to talk about stopping the meeting from continuing, they decided that to negotiate with me was to let me know that there were some bones that they had discovered, that what the meeting was all about, part of what the meeting was all about. And so the Navy decided to sit down with us and tell us what the whole thing was. And that's when we discovered that there were a whole history of those of us who were, when we ran away from enslavement in the South, we, and some of us joined the service, the Navy, and when we joined the Navy, when we were brought to the hospital that was at the Navy Yard, and if we died at that hospital or died on the ship being brought to the hospital, we were thrown in the swamp that was at the bottom of the hill. And at that time, white people and black folks could not be buried together. And so in the ensuing years, the swamp was covered over, and the bones were taken out of the swamp and out of the so-called cemetery, and 927 were taken out in 1927 and reburied in a cemetery up in Cypress Hill, and so on. And anyway, a few days later, they gave me a list of all the people that were buried there, and when I got to the C's, I seen a Carson there, and I said, Carson, 1851. And I said, uh-oh. I said, something told me I better do a little more investigation. Anyway, to make a long story short, as I began to do my further research, I found out that the Carson that was there on that list was a runaway slave from South Carolina, and after further inquiry, I found out that he could have been a runaway slave from the Carson family, and so I made a demand that was my, insisting that was my relative, and the government didn't want any trouble, and they thought that I was presenting more evidence than they had, and they agreed, and they gave me the bones. And those bones are the ones that we eventually took to Ghana, and the chief gave us his land, the land for those bones to be buried. So I'll give him a hand, please, for receiving those bones. I can tell him that because I mean, there are too many black folks on this side who just give their land just to give us the right to bury some bones. But anyway, now that I told you that story, I just want to tell the Chief's story now. Chief, we have now found out that we may have the opportunity to take them bones back that were buried in the African burial ground, and we may be able to have a chance to bring them to Ghana this year. Will you be able to accept them?
Mass funeral.
We'll have a mass funeral this year during Emancipation Day, and we'll talk about that later. But again, it looks like we may have an opportunity to take the bones that were buried in the African burial ground that are now down in Howard University. We may now have an opportunity to take them to Ghana this year. Do you think that's where we should take them?
Yeah.
Well, let me hear it. It's on behalf of all of us that we're taking them. The Crips, the Bloods, the niggas, or everybody. We will take the Bloods to, the bones, we're going to take the bones to Ghana, and if the chief agrees and to receive them, we will have a funeral this year in August that will never be surpassed in the history of man, except in Egypt in those days. But I'm going to tell you, if we do this year, behold, the bird, the return will really have begun, and I hope that we will be able to make that happen, and I can only make that happen if we, and this is Reverend Shivers, my first cousin who sits here, who also was one of those who rode the plane with us, and we sat there in Ghana and cried together because our bones were first to be taken back from America to Ghana. So my cousin and the rest of the family members and all of us who are going to participate in this return, Michael Hooper, who already has a connection, let him tell you about that later on. We'll all be returning to Ghana this year in August to take part in Emancipation Day. And on that day, we hope to reinter 427 pieces of our ancestors, and that will never be surpassed. So thank you for allowing me to give you the history, and thank you, Chief, for being here today. And we welcome you with honor, and we hope that you will never forget this visit. Thank you very much.
Another hand, please, for our next person is a very distinguished artist, griot, historian. We know her as Sister Camille Yarborough, but her stool name, because she was a student in Ghana, is Na Kwokor Ajime. Now she is one of the most powerful people that I have ever met. She, like my mother, is a dancer. I believe out of the Ghana school originally. You're with the Ghana company, right? And she is one of the people that I like to talk about when we're talking about transatlantic so-called slave trade. This is one of the people who really gets my blood going. A serious elder. She's come out tonight with, and we really all need to stand up and give this sister a big hand, Sybil Clark, John Henry Clark's wife. Let's give her a big hand. He is a teacher for Dr. Jeffries, Dr. James, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, Camille Yarborough, so many people. Rosalind is a reminder. But thank you so much. Thank you for all of your work. She did a lot of this work. What were you in Milwaukee for about 16 years there, I heard? Something like that? 7 Clark? How many years did you work in the office? You know, yeah.
So I've had just for at least 11 years. I traveled with him.
She traveled with him for 11 and a half years. Incredible. Sister Camille Yarborough.
Good evening. Come into this room. All of what has happened here affects me. There is so much power in this room because of what has happened. I want to thank our illustrious guests for coming. Thank you for being with us. It is always rewarding. I don't know about the Africans who were born on the continent. When you see the tradition come here, I don't know what it means to you, but I know what it means to the Africans who were born in diaspora, those who have some consciousness. It fills us. It inspires us. Just to see the clothing, the symbols, to see how the relationships are in the royal family, the relationships to everyone, all of this is important to Africans in diaspora when we recognize what we have lost here. As Brother Carson said, I too sat there wishing that I could understand Twi, wishing and deciding that I'm going to study. If there anybody here who teaches it, let me know, because I need to learn that language. It is my intention to go back to Ghana. I've been there 3 times. And take up residence there. I was born here, but when I go to that continent, that's where I feel at home. And I know I'm going to have problems with my family here because I really don't think I want to be interred here. just as the bones were taken back, I think we have to go back, many of us, to go back and live. And I think my sister here is planning to do that, to go back and buy and build and live. There's a little poem that I wrote some years ago. It's kind of in a Caribbean kind of a thing, but it said, soon day we'll be home again in the motherland, in the motherland. Soon day we'll be home again in Africa. Soon day we'll be born again in the motherland. And that's what has to happen. You go there, then we have our children there, and they grow up with the culture that has been stripped from us. And you look at our young people today who are growing up, but they're not raised up in the old way. When we were growing, there are little things that are not, maybe they don't seem important. But we're growing, our parents used to look at us. Anybody know the way your parents used to just look and they do something with their eyes? They wouldn't have to slap you, they wouldn't have to say anything, they just look at you. And it comes from the motherland. There are ways that we have related before that are gone now. They're slipping away in this culture that has been taken from our young people. And so we have to go back and recapture those things that we lost. The strength of Africa. There's a lot that is wrong. There's a lot that went wrong, but there's a lot that is good. And so when you come, and I took my brother, I went to Ghana last year, and I had my younger brother, who's not too much younger than I go. And I cannot tell you the effect it had on this African man who didn't know about the structure, how societies are structured in Africa, who didn't know the kind of respect that was shown to the Sandahini when he came in the procession and all the other chiefs. He was amazed at this. He'd never seen black people relate that way. And it so affected him that he got up and began to dance. He got up and began to play drums. He just went off. And he tells me about this today. He is a new man because he saw culture, because he saw a new way of learning, a new way of teaching, because he is a drummer. It meant so much, very much to him. And so thank you for coming today. Thank you for allowing the bones to be brought back. I went to that place, and many of you probably have too, the river, that last river where our people who were taken into the dungeons, into Elmina and Caicos, had their last time of bathing and relaxing, where they were watching intently because it was this time they were trying to break away and stay on the land. And I went to that river and I imagined what had gone on there. And so that place is so valuable to us. And what you're doing is so important to us here, that it will grow. The bones are there, but it's more than the bones. It's the spiritual part that is there. So I know the late evening is late. But I want to thank you for doing that, for taking that step, for opening the door for us, because we're coming. You understand that now? It's not just about bones. It's about us living, loving Africans who are going back to the motherland. And we will bring with us all the good stuff. We're going to leave the bad stuff here. We will bring our skills, we will bring basically our souls, our spirit. And then we will come there and help to build Africa.
Yes, sir.
I was in the hospital the last time I was there. And for one day I was sick because I'd gotten sick trying to get there, trying to take my brother from California and get passports. It's so difficult to get a passport now. But when I got there, the first day I was ill and I went into the hospital. And I was very well taken care of. And where was it? Accra? I said, I was sick. I didn't know where it was. And there was a nurse there, a young nurse, not a nurse, a doctor, female doctor, who came and she was very good. She had studied in America. But when I was leaving, there were some younger people there, attendants, nurses. And they said, oh, we want to go to America. We want to go. And I was saying, no. I was saying, no, build here. This is where you build. We don't own America. We do not own it. And we have been coming to a certain kind of wealth here, but we have lost so much. And so if we're going to build, if we're going to scroll, let's do it on our land. And I know there's a question about us coming back, but that question will dissolve in the wind when our spirit takes the step. So thank you again, Magasi.
We're going to enter a next stage. There are some people here from the Asim traditional area who would like to greet the Nana, Brahma, Kwame, and Chi, the 12th. And we're going to make room for that protocol to occur. Ambrose.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Nana, in our culture, and as many black men, before we even go to greet a king, we need to ask permission from the landlords to grant us permission to go with Nana. So I am microphone asking permission to greet Nana. This is our culture as a sign of respect and to the authority of the stool he occupies.
We also have a representative from the Chim Feku. His name is Nana Kwesi Ajiman. Nana Kwesi Ajiman is an old friend of this institution. It was some years ago that the late Nana Kuntun Kulukru, who was a dear friend of, I found this out last night from Brema Kwame Nchi. They have, and I'm sure when he talks, he will try to give you a background on the House of Chiefs, which he has been a member of since the 1970s, since its inception. And Nana Kuntun Kulukru was the paramount king of the Achim of Wokwa. There are three Achim, Wokwa, Busumi, and Kotoku, I believe. And he was a great man who passed away about a year ago. And in New York City, and most of the major cities in the United States and in Canada, you have the Fekus, you have the associations. The Asante, they have theirs, the Fanti have theirs, the Akwapim, the Achim, the Nzima, the Northerners from Dagonga, they have theirs. And today we have the president of the Achim Feku. Now we only have 1.5 weeks to get the word out, and he responded diligently. And we'd like to bring him up to the mic. He'd like to come and also welcome Brema Kwame Nchi the 12th to New York City. Nana Kwesi Ajiman.
Zulu for introducing me the way it has come to be. Truly, I'm a younger brother to Osage Falcon Zulu who just passed away. And we have been close friends with Nana Zulu and his people for many years. A few days ago, Nana Zulu called me and told me about this terror. I have so many things to take care of today, but I said, since he has done that, and reminding me here himself, it reminds me of my brother. Whatever I have to do today, I will be here, if even 1 minute, to say hello to Nana. And I'm very much pleased to be here today, as well as my wife, to say, Nana, you are welcome. In our language, say, Nana, you are welcome. Biara here in Jai. So we